What are we starting
A
with this
YouTube
week?
comment?
A wee review. No.
A YouTube comment.
Yes.
Yay!
So this one is on our Science of Transgender Sexuality episode with Jamie Dodger from last year.
Hell yeah.
It says, my sexuality, like my gender, is complicated.
Oh.
Yeah, I like that one. It's
Yeah.
fun, mysterious.
Might as well have both.
Yeah. I do have a question, though.
Mm.
Have you got our merch yet? Have you got our merch? We might be sold
Yes.
out. Who knows? I don't check anymore.
Hopefully you've got some.
If you don't have some, feel bad and buy some.
Let's start the show.
Let's start the show.
Let's start the show.
Hello and welcome to the SCI Guys, the show where we talk about the crazy, weird, and wonderful stories from the science world. I'm Corey, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jamp and Luke Upforth.
Hello.
Hi, howdy.
This week, we are talking about some ribbity boys.
Froggos.
Froggies.
Think, well, they are technically frogs, but think warty frogs.
Ooh.
Toads.
Yes.
What was the type of frog that terrified me that one time? It was what was it?
Trevor.
Spined frog or
Oh,
something?
it was a frog. It was a clawed frog. I
Clawed
think.
frogs.
Clawed.
Yes,
Oh,
but
good
I don't know
God.
if it clawed frogs were the frogs that broke their finger bones to stab things, or if they were just a different type of frog. But both of those frogs scared
It's
you.
like a horror movie.
Yeah. Anyway, this episode will hopefully be very riveting for you. We're talking about something quite close to home for you, Jamp.
Frogs.
Cane toads.
Yeah. Why did you say frogs again?
Maybe he likes frogs.
Australia.
You might like frogs.
Yeah.
You might
So,
live with frogs.
My whole family is frogs.
wow, really?
Yeah.
You've done so
I
well
grew
for
up in a
yourself.
frog home.
As a
I can imagine you sitting on a lily pad. Just seems right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
feel like it would sink.
That's very rude. It might be a massive lily pad.
I don't think I've seen a lily pad that's like big enough to support a person.
What is a landmass if not a big rocky lily pad?
That's
What-
something a frog would say.
Well, this episode is not about land masses and how they are not lily pads. So let's save that for a future episode. We're talking about cane toads today. Does anyone want to tell me what cane toads? Well,
Go
Jam, let us know what's the deal with cane toads.
Honestly, all I knew is that they're an invasive species to Western Australia where I grew up.
Yeah.
They
Just
are
like
a
you're
species-
an invasive species, really, right?
To the UK. Well, not technically,
Well, to
because I'm
both.
UK by blood.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, to Australia, I technically am.
Yeah, look at you, just
Yeah.
causing havoc. So,
Yeah.
what is an invasive species?
Hang
Does
on, so
anyone
you
know?
invaded Australia and then you invaded the UK back.
Yeah, well, my mother's womb invaded Australia,
Ah, okay.
and then I came out.
What happened to the rest of your mother? You know, what also happened between
The cane toads
you being in the womb and you coming out? Like, I feel like there's a lot going.
the cane toads ate her and left me. I don't actually have a birthday because it happened over like multiple weeks.
They just ate everything but the womb. And they were like, ugh, no.
Oh, no, thank
And then you hatched, as it were,
No, that's
and the
my
cane
favourite
toads
podcast
raised you
host.
as their own, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you know what an invasive species is?
Species that is invading into an area where it's not usually.
I mean, that would no, yes, no,
Okay.
yes, and no.
Okay.
There's a bit more to it than that.
Don't they destroy the local ecological thing?
Like the food chain.
Yeah.
They disrupt the ecology.
So, an invasive species is an organism that has been brought in by humans to a new environment and then harms that environment, usually by reproducing way too quickly and being very difficult to, very difficult for the local sort of flora and fauna to deal with.
I would say that invasive species, if that's the definition, that is a misnomer, because if it requires humans to have taken them there, you're putting a lot of blame on the species by calling them invasive species. It's actually our fault.
Well, yeah, but I mean, not all invasive species are on purpose. So some invasive species are accidental. So you've got some that are on purpose. Like, do you know any ones that are on purpose other than the cane toad?
I don't know.
So there's a Japanese, I think it's rotweed or something. There's a Japanese plant that was brought over by in Victorian times because they thought it was pretty. That one's not very good. Rhododendrons. Do you know rhododendrons?
Mm-hmm. Flowers.
Yes, flowers.
Mm.
Apparently, they are invasive species and are also not very good for the local environment.
Oh.
Grey squirrels are also invasive species, but something that's accidental. I think it's a type of mussel that was brought over on ships to, I think, the US or somewhere in the sort of Americas, and
Oh.
those are issues as well. So you don't need to, like, it could be accidental, right? Because rats, for example, they're not necessarily invasive species, but they just stowed away on ships. It's not like we were saying, hey, let's bring these pests with us. Let's do it. That'll be fun, right? You know, animals can just, with humans traveling, animals can tag along in unexpected and unintentional ways.
Stowaways.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay the ticket.
Just like you in the womb,
Oh, yeah, it was.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smuggled aboard. Got a free ride.
So, yeah, an invasive species, something that is through human intervention or through human action, has been introduced to a new environment and then damages that environment. So, not all invasive species, not all non-native species are invasive species. So, a native species obviously being something that is a part of an ecosystem, just naturally through, like, it's evolved to be a part of that ecosystem. It is it has entered that ecosystem through natural means, which natural means basically non-human means, right?
Sure, because we separate ourselves from nature all the time.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous. Like, that's imagine like one animal carrying like mites, like a bird, say, carrying some kind of, I don't know if birds get any kind of mites. Let's say a bird carrying a parasite from one island to another. It's basically the same thing as a human doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just that we humans hold ourselves to a higher standard of, to a certain extent, a higher standard of accountability, suggesting that we can sort of learn and predict the outcomes of our actions, or at least we should be held accountable for the fact that we should have seen what we could have done.
Yeah.
Which animals, we assume, sort of act more on instinct and are less calculated about things, although obviously that will be a spectrum to a certain extent.
I see it as a case of we're just better at it. We're better at bringing animals different places because we're better at going different places, you know?
We are everywhere.
We're not better than like a pigeon or like a bird that can fly south for winter. I have to use a plane or a car.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then birds, we have to use a plane.
I'm not better though. On
Yeah,
my own.
But we.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm better than all animals. I mean, I am, but I am an outlier here. No, I mean, like, humans are better than most animals at traveling places. Although, actually, no, I feel like rats are better than humans because they put in absolutely zero effort.
You don't even see them.
Right?
Yeah, they get around undetected.
Yeah,
Ninjas.
it's interesting. It's like if you were trying to work out like what's more evolved. Like we as humans often think of ourselves as more evolved, but like most definitely, my cat is like the most evolved to her environment because she sleeps all day and I do everything for her. And so in terms of her interaction with the environment, of which I am part, she's got the best life. She's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And cats can be a really awful invasive species as well because while they are, they can sleep all day and you'll do everything for them because they have fooled you. They can also just go ahead and hunt like birds and mice, and they can still do that.
Everything around.
Yeah, exactly.
The house.
They can absolutely destroy an ecosystem. Like pet cats that are allowed out, like sort of outdoor cats, are horrible for local wildlife because they kill all small sort of mammals and birds and reptiles and all sorts of things. They don't even eat them as well.
Yeah.
They just kill them. So a native species, obviously, it's become a part of it's part of that sort of environment, that ecosystem, naturally through not through human intervention. Non-native species have been basically taken from their normal environment and popped into a new one by humans, or because of human activity, they have moved outside of their normal environment to a new one.
Would that include like circus animals, or would they have to be free?
I think they would have to be free.
Okay.
Like, I don't think you could say, the UK has a population of tigers.
It does.
Some zoos.
It does have a very small population of tigers,
Yeah.
but it does.
Well, I mean, it would be more the case of, think about hippos in, I think is it South America, Central America? So a drug, I can't remember which one it was. Was it one of some kind of drug kingpin or something had hippos?
What's his name? Pablo Escobar.
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, the
that's
whole
it.
hippo farm going on.
Yeah, and they've since been kind of released, and now they're just
Rampaging.
chilling. Well, they're doing real well for that and that.
But they're bad for the ecosystem, as far as I've read.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hippos. Like,
Well,
I'm sorry,
really heavy.
release a hippo anywhere. Like, I feel like it's gonna. Like, those things are tanks. They are horrifying.
That'd be really interesting if you just like how we've gone into lockdown.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if we had to go into lockdown for a different reason, which is like you're in your town and there's like a broadcast on the local news, and it's like everyone stay indoors. There is a pack of hippos on the loose. Like, that would be just so interesting. It's like something you do in like The Sims.
Yeah. I mean, but hippos are Do you guys know how terrifying hippos are?
Oh yeah,
Quite
they can
terrifying.
charge.
Yeah. I mean, they're big, they're strong. Like, you are not hand to hand. hippo's killing you immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and they're basically herbivorous, right? Like they mostly eat plants. But have you seen them crush a watermelon?
Yes.
Oh god.
Like-
With that mouth, right?
Yeah, they get fed whole watermelons, and like they just open their jaws are huge, and they just
As
pop
if it
it
was
like a grape.
Yeah, as if it was a grape.
Did you ever have a situation in Australia when you lived there of like, there is this animal on the loose, everyone watch out?
Snakes in school.
It's not just
all
every
the
day.
time. Like a lot of the time, snakes in school. Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing like huge though.
There
The
aren't,
kangaroos and emus keep away.
I was gonna say there aren't like that many huge animals that you'd probably get.
No, and I was in like the suburby areas, so
Yeah.
we didn't get like the kangaroos and emus that you might in like a rural town.
Although kangaroos are jacked.
Oh yeah.
They are
ripped,
terrifying.
Ripped.
Like I don't want to go up against a kangaroo. That like especially because it like can lean on its tail as a sort of third like hind limb
Yeah.
yeah.
and just batter you.
Yeah. But there are also great videos of like, well, great, it depends on your definition of great, but they're fascinating if you take out the animal welfare part of it, of like people fighting with kangaroo and they punch them in the face. When they like come into their territory, like if you're threatened by a kangaroo, like these videos are, there's just this guy like punching a kangaroo in the face, and it's just,
Yeah, because it had
it's
his dog.
fascinating because it's
The kangaroo,
like
yeah.
watching a bar fight.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
kangaroo was like strangling his dog, so he just went up to the kangaroo and was like
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right in the face.
I mean that's what you would have to do though. I mean, humans
Yeah.
are pretty good at punching and we're pretty good at taking punches, but kangaroos are.
I think there's just something about the fact that it's like an upright animal with like strong biceps
Yeah.
and fists
Yeah.
and like a face that's somewhat human shaped.
Yeah.
That's just like, oh wow, it's like I'm not even watching an animal fight a person. It's like I'm watching two blokes go at it in a bar.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But when you start thinking that and you actually look at the physique of a kangaroo, and they can be shredded. Like the kind of muscle definition that the kind of muscle definition that you get like from like seriously working out they just have.
Like a character from like Thor or something.
Yeah, like genuinely, like the kind of thing that what is it, like Chris Hemsworth would take steroids for and like not drink water all day.
Is Chris Hemsworth take steroids?
I don't know,
Okay.
but like he's big. A lot of actors take steroids apparently.
Okay. Ooh, drama.
Well, I mean, for a role,
Unheard
you know, I mean, it's not like they're doing it to. It's not like they're doing it for competition. I think the issue would really be that they're making out that those bodies are natural if they're not when they're not. But only if they are taking steroids. I don't know, so I'm not gonna cast sort of aspersions on anyone except for Chris Hemsworth.
Except Chris
Sorry, buddy.
Hemsworth.
Anyway, frogs.
Frogs?
Yeah.
Nah, toads, mate.
Toads. Sorry.
Well, technically, okay, so I looked this up. Completely unrelated. Technically, all toads are frogs. Not all frogs are toads. It's a finger thumb situation.
Interesting.
Turtle tortoise situation.
Wow.
You know?
I thought they were two entirely different things.
No, they're largely this. They're basically the same, other than toads. Like what? Frogs are like slimy, and toads are
Ugly.
warty.
Yeah.
Toads walk more than they hop. Really,
Yeah,
they tend
'Cause
to.
they're big and fat.
Yeah. Well, their legs aren't quite as
Yeah.
big and muscular as frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to their big fat body.
Why are you body shaming these toads?
I'm not. It's just the reality.
Well, that is the reality. It's not a negative thing. Why are you assuming fat is a negative term?
I'm not.
Sorry.
It's just the tone with which Jamp is saying it. It's just very.
My insistence. It's because they're big and fat. It's because.
Okay, so so we know what invasive species are. Why don't we get on to the cane toads? So cane toad, their scientific name is
cane toad.
Canis totus.
Rhinella marina.
Cruella de Vil.
No, it doesn't work. Amphibians, obviously, they're omnivorous. They usually live between 5 to 10 years.
Sorry, when you say they are omnivorous, does
Yeah.
that mean that they eat flies, or do they eat something I don't know they eat, like little shrews?
Oh, we'll
or-
find out. We'll find out soon.
Oh, God.
Don't you worry. No, they are one of the worst invasive species in the world. They are actually one of the top. Is in the top 100 world's worst invasive species list from the Global Invasive Species Database. They placed cane toads in the top 20 at number 16. Yeah, and this is like all invasive species. So that's bad. That's a good score. Number 16. You know,
Where are
Good
we?
effort.
where are we?
Yeah,
Us three,
no.
probably quite low.
But
SCI GUYS number 15.
is there any reading of history whereby humans are an invasive species?
I mean, if you want to stretch that definition, then yes.
No, I don't mean invasive as in like one set of people from one part of the world moving to another part of the world where there are people already.
I know what you mean.
Colonialism.
I know what you mean.
But like all of us collectively moving out of where we originally evolved
Africa.
and into other parts of the world. Like we moved up into Europe, moved out into Asia. We invaded there. There were probably just loads of animals having a great time in the Garden of Eden, comparatively, and then we come along and make everything crap.
Arguably, that's what we did was all natural.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think, again, we start getting to the point of what is natural and what isn't. We just like to separate ourselves, and there's not really a huge reason other than the utility of saying this is human stuff and this is like less human stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. That's what it does bother me that people think that natural and unnatural are two, or natural and man-made are two distinct categories that are absolutely sort of present in the universe rather than just something we made up because we think we're special. You know?
Yeah, I saw an interesting. Sorry, we're getting very off topic here, but I saw an interesting talk about this, which was to say that basically the one distinction you could make is that there are certain materials that are present in nature that other aspects of nature have. There's an antidote to them, right? So if you have wood, there are things that can break wood down. If you have stone, there are there's water that can make it turn into salt or into sand. But there are certain materials we've made, like plastics, which there is no natural process that breaks them down other than over just ludicrous amounts of time. Yet, well, but we would make that, right?
Yeah, but yet, in that I feel like there is some potential, right, for over enough time for some microorganisms to develop the ability to break down plastics.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, that then what you're doing, and this is really interesting. We will get back to the topic at some point, so don't worry. But what you're doing is really interesting because you're saying that sort of, well, not you, but you know. The kind of thing that's being presented there is, well, the difference is that there are materials that can't be broken down naturally because because there's not been enough time for nature to develop. And the reason that all of these other materials can be broken down naturally is because they've been around forever. Right?
Yes, but also they probably took quite a while to evolve in the first place. Those materials probably, there were like lots of steps to get to that material, whereas with us, we've sort of taken a bunch of oil out the ground and then we've fractionally distilled it, and then we've got these materials that wouldn't naturally exist. They wouldn't have come about on their own without an invented process that means that they occur quickly and not with they don't evolve.
Yeah, but then absolutely. But we've got then I think we're getting to the point of splitting hairs because then we've got like shells of certain sort of crustaceans, for example, which are incredibly strong and can last for quite a long time, right? But do you see what I mean? The comparison I'm making there of like materials that are very difficult to be broken down. I think the distinction that's being made is again that like they didn't evolve, but to an extent they did if it's through us, right?
Yes.
I think I don't disagree with you. I understand the reason for making the distinction. I understand the different ways to make the distinction. All I'm saying is that I feel like you then have to place a line on what is and what isn't natural. And at some point, it becomes it does get a little bit blurry. Like if you zoom in enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't disagree. For anyone listening, we don't disagree.
No.
Shall we talk about toads?
We absolutely should.
Jamp disagrees, so don't you, Jamp?
Well, yes, but I'm not going to. I think everything is unnatural. Fall into the void, please.
Anything? No. No, thank you.
No. Non-existence is ideal.
So, Jamp, are you saying that you think the gays are unnatural?
Oh, Jamp.
Yes.
As
well as the straights.
Equality.
Cool.
Mitosis.
Now, whoever's watching, please clip just that part before Jamp says and the straights.
Include the mitosis, please.
Thank you very much. What? Back to our toads. They're omnivorous, as I've said. They usually live about 5 to 10 years. It says their size is about 4 to 6 inches. I think I've seen that apparently they can get up to 26 centimeters. They can get big.
In which direction?
Long, I guess.
Long.
Not tall.
Well, I don't know.
Long, I guess. I don't know.
I would assume long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, about long. About.
So which way is long when you're a toad?
Oh, it could be wide.
Width?
They are quite fat.
Width, depth, or height?
Just imagine their widest dimension being 26.
Okay, so that's width.
Which definitely isn't height. It could
Well,
be width.
It's
yeah.
not height, definitely. I think
You
it's
imagine a frog, it's definitely wider than it is tall.
Well, not
Sorry,
all
a toad.
frogs.
There's like that. What is it? Is it Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars?
yes.
He's not
Jabba the Hutt in
a
Star
toad.
Wars. He's not.
He's like wider than he is tall and deep.
He's also not a toad.
No, I know he's not a toad, but that's when I imagine a toad, I imagine something somewhat
you
similar
imagine Jabba the
to
Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt. I
So look,
imagine
my
this-
question is that when I say toad,
Yeah.
why do you picture a fictional character from a series that you're not terribly invested in, rather than the real life animal of which I'm referring?
I picture the real life animal of which you're referring, and if you need me to then, if I'm trying to decide whether the length of a toad is its width, its depth, or its height, I would invoke the idea. Oh,
length.
It's length. Okay,
So
I would
they're quite
always
long.
imagine a toad from the front, like I'm looking on to the toad.
You might also be thinking of cartoon toads.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking of cartoon. It's definitely a cartoon toad.
Yeah, they're quite fat.
Well, obviously it's a cartoon toad if you're going to Jabba the Hutt. I mean, I feel like we've left that far too quickly. What?
Okay, well, thank you. Length of toad, 26 centimeters up to. Thank you.
Yeah, but those are massive, massive toads. Okay, they're
It's nearly a foot.
yeah, they're usually a lot smaller. I've seen a woman holding one, and they're big. It's a big toad.
Congratulations to her.
Big boy. But yeah, they don't usually get that big, obviously. Usually 4 to 6 inches, but they can grow bigger. So it is large, it is warty, it is poisonous, and it's usually native to
Smelly.
South. And can you stop? Like, I don't know what it. Look, I know you're Australian, and I know that you guys have an issue with these toads, but can we get through this episode without some prejudice from you?
I was fed anti-cane toad propaganda when I was a kid, so you have to forgive me.
Anti-cane toad propaganda, really?
Yeah.
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 I feel like I mean, they do actually kill them with golf clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's guidelines on how
Lots
to
of
kill.
pictures of cane toads in cages. Cage toads, you could say.
I don't like that one.
And when,
We
as a
called them T-Ring.
child, having been fed anti-cane toad propaganda, did
Yeah.
you look upon these pictures of cane toads in cages and celebrate and think, yes, justice
Yeah.
has been served?
Maybe not to that extent, but I was like, yeah, lock him away. Yeah, good.
Wow. That's so sad.
That's what they deserve.
Wow.
No wonder the education system in Australia is suffering. They spend so much of their time on cane toad propaganda.
Yeah.
No history
Yeah.
for them, just cane toad propaganda.
What's your schedule for today? Oh, I've got maths, I've got English, I've got anti-cane toad education, and then I've got drama.
Even after the cane toads have been long forgotten about, still anti-cane toad
But
propaganda.
it gets warped like so. Yeah.
Nobody's seen a cane toad in years.
So they are native to South and Central America, and as I said, they're one of the worst invasive species in the world. They usually eat sort of insects, but they can eat anything more or less that they can fit
Oh yeah.
inside them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly though, they mostly eat insects, but we'll get to a point soon where they will eat almost anything, but there are some things that they won't eat, which is pretty funny.
Children.
Well, they can't. I think
I
they.
don't think they can.
Yeah, they can fit that in. Small, other
they could do it in
they eat each
bites.
other. Do they eat each other?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's it. Specifically, there is an issue with what they won't eat, which is
Okay.
absolutely hilarious.
Oh, okay.
So they lay their eggs in long strings in pretty much anywhere there's fresh water. So the tadpoles can get up to about 3 centimeters, and
Yeah.
they're black.
They are big.
Big.
Yeah,
Big boys.
very big.
For tadpoles, that's really big.
It's huge, right? So they can. How long do you think it takes for them to turn into a toad from a tadpole?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
That's not far off. That's about the
3 weeks and 1 day.
Okay, so that's about the middle range. So you're both
6 weeks.
okay. Listen.
Yeah.
4.5 weeks.
Stop.
Sorry, can I just ask as well? Are there any tadpoles that aren't black?
What?
You said the tadpoles are black. Are there any tadpoles that aren't black?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know all tadpoles.
I
Just
thought
if I
they were
imagine
mostly
a tad-
translucent.
What?
Like a cloudy. I don't know.
That's
All
sperm,
tadpoles.
Jem.
They're very
Oh,
similar.
That's what I've been looking at.
Yeah.
Just jizzing into ponds. And, look at tadpoles.
Hey, look at the tadpoles.
Just restoring the population.
Oh my god.
Might be that man's back.
So, so you're right. They're about 3 weeks. So they can develop into a toad in about a month, but they can take longer in colder waters. But in warmer waters, they can turn into a toad in just 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
right. So that's quick, right? If you can lay like tons of eggs, and obviously they're not all going to survive, but you can lay tons of eggs, and then in 10 days you got a bunch of toads.
How big are they then? Little.
Little. Yeah.
Yes.
Look, I'm sorry, I didn't get exact sizes for every stage of the toad's
require-
life cycle.
At the 10-day mark.
Well, I just want to know how big they are, but I won't.
Well, here is
A
one
little
that I
bigger than
brought
3
from-
centimeters.
Oh, that would be lovely if you brought a little frog in for us to see.
Honestly, you're going to find out more about the cane toad, and you're going to disagree with that.
Not a cane toad,
Yeah.
just a frog.
Oh, just a frog. I found very small frogs at the gym the other day, like tiny little things, this big, no bigger than 2 centimeters.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. Love them, like little chocolate frogs.
They were probably only cooking for 10 days. So about that size. Thanks, Corey, for the visual reference.
Deary me. Well, no, it was smaller than the tadpoles.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
true.
are tadpoles bigger than some
Ooh.
frogs. That's wild. Right?
Ew.
Crazy. So, that's kind of what you need to know about the cane toad so far. Okay. Let's. I've mentioned that they're poisonous, right? They've got a sort of milky poison
Yes,
on
you
the
have.
on the outside of their skin.
Yes.
Bear that in mind. That's probably why. That's why we didn't want to bring him in.
These aren't the frogs people lick.
No, you would be
You-
very ill.
You die. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not poisonous to us.
No,
Maybe
very
it's-
ill or probably
okay.
dead.
All right.
Yeah.
This is what the propaganda told
Oh,
me.
probably
Don't go near
dead.
them.
I think you'd have to eat a lot of frog to be dead. At the very least, quite ill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why do you think the frogs were released? The toads were released. You keep saying frogs.
Was it to kill a different thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think it was for?
Kangaroos.
Wasn't for the rabbits, was it?
No. Wait. What is it? Hold on. What's a frog going to do to a kangaroo? Wait,
You
you
could
think
eat
because they
baby
both hop?
kangaroos. I'm not thinking that they're both hot, but that is really good.
Okay.
They could have a race.
Yeah. No. I don't think. I don't think a joey is going to be killed by a cane toad. I mean, in a one-on-one situation, I don't know. I feel like a joey could win.
You've clearly never read The Hare and the Tortoise. Anyway, possibly like to control some kind of rat or mouse population.
That's interesting that you say that. It's not the case. But so
My rational answer would be some kind of insect.
yes.
Okay.
Well-
Locusts.
No.
Okay,
No, we don't really have those.
Oh, fun fact: locusts are actually just grasshoppers.
Yeah, with lots of serotonin.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we have those. They're really
So
really
you have
tiny.
potential locusts.
Yeah, but they're
So,
really small.
I
Can
don't-
locusts be small?
I don't know if all grasshoppers can turn into locusts, but basically a locust is a sort of not phase in the life cycle of a grasshopper, but it's kind of something that a grasshopper can turn into when there is, I think, low food
Really
available.
hungry, yeah.
Like it's really hungry,
Oh.
and so its body goes through this sort of almost metamorphosis to
Ew.
become a locust, where it just flies to find food, and that's why locusts are what they are.
I hate that.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
horrible.
it's a really awesome like sort of adaptation, though, isn't it? It's really interesting that
Yeah.
came about.
Yeah.
Have we spoken on the podcast before about there's a story of like people having their clothes eaten off of them by locust swarms?
I think maybe we brought that up in the
Yeah.
Benjamin Banneker episode.
Revolting.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, locusts are insane.
Imagine you like a locust swarm comes towards you and you're like, oh no, and that's awful. And then it surrounds you and you're like, oh no, this is awful. And then it leaves and you're naked.
Oh my god, you're on a first date. You're like, you're feeling a little bit nervous, and you're like,
Oh,
oh wow,
God.
and then she hops into a shop to grab something. Oh, don't worry, I'll be back in a
She
sec.
hops. Is she a frog?
Boing.
She
the
hops
kangaroo.
into a shop to grab something, and a swarm of locusts just fly by, and suddenly you're naked. Oh no!
Oh,
and she thinks you've
God.
just stripped. She's like, "Where are your clothes?" She's like, "Oh, locusts ate them." She'd never believe you.
You would never believe that.
She'd never believe it.
You're a
Yeah.
flasher. Get away from
You
me.
go to jail for this,
It was the locust.
and then you swear a vendetta against locusts for the rest of your life. Luke,
This
that's
is
a
a
film that you need to
Joker
write.
origin story.
Loker, right?
Loca.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Good. So back to the cane toads.
Yeah, eventually.
How many times am I going to say that this episode? So they were released in Queensland. They were brought from Hawaii, released in Queensland, because there were beetles eating the roots of their sugar canes.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
Yeah,
that's
so,
not
well,
good.
I don't know if it was just the roots. One place says it was the roots, but the story that I heard when I was in school, and this might not be about the cane toad, but it was something to do with the cane toads were released to stop a pest for like on the sugar cane, but the cane toads couldn't get high enough up the sugar cane to get to the pests. And so they just didn't eat them. That's the story that I heard in school, but that's not really what I've read here.
Oh, okay.
Might be true, might not be. Look it up.
Give
double
the
check
toads
it.
credit where it's due. Okay.
I would not give the toads any credit.
No.
You're gonna
I
be.
agree with you.
You are not gonna be allowed back to Australia
I
just
felt
for
nice
saying
for a
that.
second. Yeah, I felt nice for a second.
Jesus. So they are now. You can get them in Queensland, the Northern Territory, New South Wales, Western Australia. They're all over the shop now. They've just gone everywhere. So back to when they were kind of released. Sugarcane had been grown in Queensland since the 1860s, and then like these sort of beetle larvae started to just decimate their crops, and it was it was a major issue by the 1880s, and there was like 13 different species of beetles. Like they were native beetles to Australia. There were like 13 different species of them that were sort of eating the sugarcane. I think particularly the roots, as I've said. And so they were really trying to study how can we get rid of, like, how can we deal with this this beetle population? How can we deal with it? So they studied the beetles. They looked at their life cycle. They tried. They were sort of trying a lot of different things, like different sort of pesticides, control measures, like all of these different things. But none of them were really great solutions. You know, they were either too expensive or too difficult to implement on a wide scale. And so there was an entomologist called Reginald Montgomery. Not Montgomery, Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Mungomery.
Montgomery.
Montgomery, exactly. So this man, Reginald, he was like, actually, there's been a similar problem in Hawaii, the Philippines, and Puerto Rico. So what we'll do is just do what they did. So he got the cane toads. He brought 102. I think he brought them from Hawaii. So he went to Hawaii. He brought 102 cane toads from Hawaii to Australia. One of them died on the way.
Oh,
Rest in peace. And by 1935, on the 22nd of June, he was in North Queensland, basically starting to study the toads. But it wasn't long before he started to release them. So he let them just breed for a bit.
Oh.
And then in August of the same year, he released 2,400 toads.
Whoa!
goodness.
You made that many toads from 100 toads?
101 toads in June.
I remember that Disney movie.
It's a really slimy coat.
Toads aren't slimy.
Cruella
They're
de Vil
warty.
Oh, sorry, warty. It was a really
Very warty
coat.
coat.
I like the idea that
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil wants to make a coat out of toads and no one cares and they just don't stop her.
The Australians give her a medal. but it would be a toxic coat. It would be a poisonous coat,
Yeah.
which would be a very dangerous thing.
Toxic coat for a toxic person.
Wow. Well, is she toxic?
She is in the original films. That's
Absolutely.
the only one that's canon.
I'd say killing 101 dogs is pretty toxic, yeah.
She didn't ever kill them, and she didn't kill them by hand.
But she wanted to.
It was Jasper and Horace that you should have an issue with. They were going to kill them doggies. Just, I don't know, beat them, I guess, right? That was the plan.
Something like that.
So let's get back to the toads. We're in 1935, August. 2,400 toads have been released. And in less than 2 months, the toads had increased, I think, by 24 times their population.
Good God.
Well, it says 24-fold.
Wait, so that's
Wait,
like
is 24-fold 24 times, or is that...
24-fold. That means doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled, does it not?
No, that would be too many toads.
That would be so many toads. Let me just work out how many toads that would
That's
be.
the 24
Sorry,
times.
so we start out with how many?
2,400.
2,400. 2,400 toads. Times by 2, once, twice. 3, 4, 5, 6,
We start
7,
with
8,
101.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I think that would be 10 billion toads.
I think it's 24 times. Yeah. So the toads, dear me. So their numbers increased quite a lot in 2 months. And obviously, this is not good. They didn't do much testing on this, as evidenced by the fact that it was June when he got the toads there, and then he released them in August. It's a month, right? Oh, 2 months basically, and not enough time to study what impact they might have on the environment, anything like that. So there were some concerns about it beforehand. A lot of people were, or at least one person, Walter Froggatt. Another
No
entomologist.
way.
Yeah, I know, right?
Shut up.
Oh, there's another great name at the end of this episode too. Like there are so many good names that are so related to the topic. So Walter Froggatt, he said maybe we should not do this. Maybe we should not release this toad. It is omnivorous. It is poisonous. It is it is going to be a problem. In fact, there is a quote: "This great toad, immune from enemies, omnivorous in its habits, and breeding all year round, may become as great a pest as the rabbit or cactus," which is true. Rabbits and cacti are big old problems in Australia. Rabbits, by the way, not native to the UK.
Another invasive species to Australia.
Yeah,
That's why I asked, because I thought maybe they're trying to get rid of the rabbits with the toxic toads.
I mean, that does make some kind of sense. Although I think they don't interact all that much.
No, I don't think they do.
No. So they released the toads and evidently didn't do enough risk assessment. They didn't check to see how the toads might interact with the native species.
They didn't do a recce?
No, they didn't have any control measures for the toads. They just let them go, which is crazy.
Quite irresponsible.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
A little bit, just a touch.
When you say that the toads are omnivorous and they're trying to use them to get this specific bug, are the toads not also then going to eat the crop that the bug is supposedly
That's
eating?
what I was told that happened in school.
Yeah.
In school, I was told that happened, but I haven't found, I didn't see anything saying explicitly that when I was researching this today. But yes, I think that the toads don't eat the sugarcane because there's easier food.
Right.
Like the grubs. Usually.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be supposedly the grubs, but they didn't really eat them. So really what they did was they just created a bigger problem for themselves by being like, let's solve our sugarcane problem. Oh no, it's much worse now. And we still have the sugarcane problem. So, I mean, obviously Australia was a colony at this point. It was 1935. It was still, I mean, it's still a colony now, obviously, but colonialism, let's say, was maybe a little bit more overtly in force in the 1930s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say? Do you remember your
Well,
time
I wasn't there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm not that old.
Wow.
Looks may deceive.
Yeah, you are not looking good.
I'm not looking good. No, I'm 12.
So, people had brought foxes, rabbits, deer, a bunch of other stuff. Sometimes to control pests, sometimes for food, sometimes because they just wanted it to feel like England, which we did not treat Australia well.
It's always a reason for something.
Yeah,
No,
right?
it's not.
Yeah, no. We did not treat Australia well. Well, one, we sent prisoners there, despite the fact that people lived there. We sent prisoners there. And then we kind of went there and did the usual, let's take everything from the people that live here.
There you go, including your children.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Horrific. So back to the cane toads. We didn't really care very much when we released them, it seems. And they were first recognized as a pest in the Vermin Act in 1950, and they didn't really do much to try and curb their population growth until the 1980s. In terms of it wasn't a national issue until the 1980s. And yeah, it is not good.
So could I ask, in what way were the cane toads? So what actually do the cane toads do that is like pest wise?
That is my next thing.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So they are a problem because they don't have any natural predators in Australia, and they will eat anything. They reproduce really quickly. This is all stuff that I've mentioned already. Maybe you picked up on it. But they reproduce really quickly. And also something I've not mentioned is that they spread really fast. They can I mean, really apparently they usually only hop about 10 meters away in a day.
Yeah.
But some of the bigger ones, some of them on the edges have been seen to have been measured at doing traveling like a kilometer in a day, which is
a
pretty
lot faster
quick.
than expected.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's just a species that is just spreading out and out and out, and nothing can really kill them.
Yeah. They were only intended to be in that local area of Queensland, weren't they?
Yeah.
To deal with that specific problem, and then they just covered the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a tactic that worked in other countries, is it?
In Hawaii, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there any indication as to why it didn't work?
These are different. So these were different larvae, I think, is the main issue.
Right. Okay.
And I think there were also probably predators in Hawaii that were
Control the population.
were able to control it slightly better. But also Hawaii still has an issue with. I don't think Hawaii had nearly as big of an issue with the cane toad, but Hawaii still has issues with invasive species. Any of these sort of island, island populations, because there's this thing with islands where animals tend to there are fewer predators, so animals tend to be they tend to be worse at being predators, and also they kind of get lazy, evolutionarily speaking, let's say. Right? I know someone's going to be in the comments saying that's not exactly what it is. To simplify it, they basically kind of get evolutionarily lazy. They don't have any massive predators to attack them, so they don't need to have any sort of defense mechanisms against it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at not Australia, New Zealand. Look, what's on your jumper right now?
Kiwi.
What problems like the kiwi have as an animal?
Really adorable, and on my jumper.
Really adorable and on your jumper,
really,
yeah, but
really vulnerable.
really vulnerable.
Yeah,
It's just a flightless bird that's heavy, slow, and kind of stupid.
yeah,
Right? Like, no offense to the kiwis out there, you know.
yeah.
How do you feel about kiwis?
No, they're fine. They're far enough away.
Good. But yeah, no, like the kiwi doesn't really have it. Is having issues now because it's just a big flightless bird. This lemurs don't really have any natural predators either. But if you were to release, if you were to release sort of any predator, they wouldn't necessarily have a great way of dealing with it. And so Australia, back to sort of the kentos in Australia. So as I said, they're poisonous, no predators. They can eat anything. They can just make more of them really quickly. They spread really quickly. They'll kill pets. They'll kill native species. If you bite them, lick them, or eat them, they're better at getting food. They basically outcompete the sort of Australian frogs for food. They have that milky poison like on their skin. It's called bufotoxin or bufotoxin. It has a bunch of different chemicals in it which affect your heart, and it is also a hallucinogen. They can breed at any time of the year. They lay between 8,000 and 30,000 eggs at a time, and the eggs and the tadpoles are also poisonous. They can be found in urban and agricultural areas, as well as, I'm reading this verbatim, they're highly adaptable and can be found in urban and agricultural areas, as well as dunes, coastal grasslands, and the edges of rainforests and mangrove swamps. They can be found they can survive basically anywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing can kill them. Like, there aren't...
It's pretty lucky for Australia.
Right?
There's a lot that can kill you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, because they are so poisonous, like what predators are gonna... If a predator eats them, it dies or gets really sad. And so killing off those predators makes the prey, like it makes it slightly better for the prey. Those prey populations increase slightly.
Yeah.
Like it just totally throws off the balance of a food web, really. It can be devastating. And they've spread a lot. So they found that apparently, if in warmer areas, they can spread really well because they can obviously reproduce way quicker. And there are millions of cane toads today. From those 2,400 released in 1935, what is this? It's 2022, so that's like what, 87 years later?
Oh God,
87 years later? 35? Yeah, 87 years later. There are millions, and their population is still growing. And they're not just in Australia. They're in Florida, Hawaii, Guam, the Philippines, Caribbean islands, the Western Pacific Islands, Papua New Guinea, a bunch of other places. They are very good at surviving these little toads. And it was in 2009 that they crossed from Western Australia into Northern Australia, which is over 2,000 kilometers from where they were originally released 74 years before. Yeah,
That's
right.
a lot of hops.
yeah.
It's a lot, right? And bear in mind, they live like what? Like I think about
10 years,
5
you
to
said?
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can make a lot. Like if they're like laying 3,000 to 8,000 eggs, obviously they don't all survive. But it's not like it's not like tadpoles and it's not like tadpoles and frog spawn can be a good sort of food source for other animals because they are poisonous too. Yeah, right. So they survive fairly well, and so their populations just explode. Literally, there was just such an issue with trying to get them, trying to stop them. Like conservationists are really worried because they will destroy native populations of animals.
Is there anything in Australia that eats them?
Well, kind of. It's not enough to make a huge impact, but a lot of species have started to learn to avoid them. But they can kill
get a load of that thing, and then start another problem.
Luke, I feel,
Something to do.
have you ever heard of what is it? Was it a little old lady who swallowed a fly?
Yes.
I feel like there's something to be learned from that story, right?
Little old lady who swallowed a cane toad.
She swallowed a fly, and to get the fly, she swallowed a toad.
Yeah.
The toad, she swallowed a cat. The cat died because it was a cane toad.
Right.
And then the
she
old lady
swallowed
died.
the cat.
And then
She
she died
found
also.
a dead cat. and she ate it, and that cat had swallowed a cane toad. The moral of the story is don't eat dead cats that you find on the street.
Just only eat dead cats that you've killed yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So they can kill monitor lizards. Monitor lizards, the big lizards that are like.
No.
I think so. I
So,
didn't know they were called that.
so monitor lizards are basically the big, those
Yeah,
big lizards
that's
that
what I
are
thought.
like. I think a Komodo dragon is a type of monitor, with that kind of body plan sort of thing.
Maybe I just called them Komodo dragons.
So
Yeah.
they're not all. So they're
Cool.
not all monitor lizards are Komodo dragons.
Ah, fingers and thumbs.
All Komodo dragons are monitor lizards.
So think Komodo dragon. Obviously, Komodo dragon is huge, so smaller than a Komodo dragon, but that kind of body plan. The lizards that look like that and not the tiny little, like skinny
Newt.
little things, like not like a newt or whatever. Yeah, no, like newts aren't lizards. They're
Are they
amphibious. No,
Oh, my apologies. Fake
Alright.
news.
Yeah.
Their exams.
fake newts.
Very good.
No, I think a newt is amphibious. So like a gecko or any other sort of small lizard like that. A monitor lizard is a big beefy boy, and if they eat a cane toad, oh boy, they can die.
Oh,
Oh.
Snakes, or they can kill snakes. Australia's got a lot of snakes.
that's all right.
They, there are just like lots of issues with. There's just lots of issues with with the release of them. Crocodiles even have had issues with them. Like it is insane. But you ask what animal eats? Are there any animals that eat cane toads? So I've got actually I think I've got 3 for you that not necessarily all eat cane toads, but have adapted in some way to cane toads being in Australia.
Crocodiles.
Just like you're saying with the materials, the cane toad's presence in Australia is not unnatural. Nature just hasn't had time to evolve a solution.
Sure.
So in time, as you're saying, some animals will adapt, probably by a lot of their ancestors dying, and then eventually there'll be an anti-cane toad animal, and
That's
balance
me.
will be restored to the universe.
There is an anti-cane toad animal.
It's me.
Like with an anti-cane toad animal that is horrifying with extreme prejudice.
Oh.
This story gets worse and worse as I tell it. So, have you heard of the Australian water rat?
I think I've seen a
Maybe?
picture of this thing actually.
They are
Is
beautiful.
it like? Oh, really? They're beautiful.
I like rats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it like a horrible, like rabid, like monster rat? I'm imagining like really muscly, like 10-centimeter teeth.
It's just a big wet rat, really.
Okay. Just like you.
It's incredibly rude.
You're a big wet rat. That's not a
That's-
bad thing.
I'm
You like
incredi-
rats?
I'm very dry right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a big dry rat.
That's slightly less offensive, I suppose. So, moving on.
Ew, this thing is disgusting.
They're cute. Look at them.
It's disgusting.
Let me see the picture you've got.
No, that is quite cute.
That is
It's
incredibly
like a
cute.
pointy otter.
That is
Yeah,
horrible.
It's like a beaver was slightly sharper.
It looks like a clump of hairs just crawling out of the drain.
All right. Let's
it.
not describe how you look, because maybe it's worse, huh?
Should I change my Twitter handle to Australian Water Rat?
Yeah, do it right now.
It's probably taken. I'll have a look.
Have a look.
Yeah, I think it's quite cute, Corey. I'm on your side. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It looks adorable.
I don't think I've ever seen a rat that isn't cute. And this is an aside. Rats in films, they're usually fancy rats, as in pet rats, and they try and make them look like wild sort of street rats. They are always cute, and their body, they're sort of, what is it? Because people don't understand rat body language. Whenever you see a rat on film, it always takes me out because they're not doing the right thing. It's like if a dog is supposed to be angry in a film, but it's wagging its tail.
Right.
That's the equivalent for me.
What
I'm
about
watching it.
Ratatouille? Is it accurate? What do rats look like when they want to do some cooking? What's the body language of that?
Honestly,
Lots of
Ratatouille.
tugging.
As far as I remember, Ratatouille is not too bad. It's
Okay.
it's pretty spot on, But rats
rats
tend not to like French cuisine. They're
Oh.
more no.
I mean, they
frogs.
like eating your spit, so I don't think they're that fussy.
How many times are you gonna have to mention rats eating spit, Luke?
Just that time,
Okay, fantastic.
and the previous time,
Yeah, and the previous time.
and probably next time.
So the Australian water rats have learned how to kill cane toads and eat parts of them without dying.
Oh,
So obviously,
clever.
yeah, the cane toad, its skin is poisonous.
Yep.
Because of the toxins that it releases on there.
Yep.
And so, in about 2 years, so they can also be called rackley, these water rats. They have found out how to just kill cane toads, like horrifically murder them. So they make basically an incision that's a sort of a few millimeters long in the cane toad's chest. and they rip out.
Are they doing
their-
surgery on it?
Yes, it literally says with surgical precision. They break into its chest.
I saw this Guardian article actually.
Yeah,
With surgical
I
precision.
read this Guardian article. It was
Yeah.
great. It was from 2019, I think. So they remove the gallbladder and eat the heart. They also find the toads on their back, and it seems as though there is no killing blow to the toad, so they eat the toad alive. Yeah, cool, right? And the reason they remove the gallbladder is because the gallbladder is full of toxins, and they clearly must have figured that out, and so they get rid of it to stop any
So clever.
chance of eating that. They will also skin the frog's legs and eat the thigh muscle.
Skin it.
Skin it.
Well, obviously, 'cause
Peel
it's
the
not
skin
so-
off and eat the thigh muscle
okay.
underneath the skin. On top of that, they don't go for small toads usually. They tend to go for the biggest toads, even though I think those toads are they're hard to take down. They go for the biggest toads because can you guess why?
The biggest
heart.
thighs. Oh.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Like, I mean, you're
Big and general. Yeah, there's just one more.
Well, you're right, and you've got less chance of accidentally eating an organ that is toxic.
Oh, you can see it
Because you can see it better. How cool is that? Like, these little rats have learned how to do that. And apparently, they were like they just found like they were finding dead cane toads just by this riverside. Like
Cane toad massacre.
yeah. So
Out of interest, do you think this is a behavior that has evolved or that has been learned that gets passed down like mother and father to baby water rat?
so that's exactly what I was about to say. So these rats, by the way, they're not all that big. They've got sharp claws and teeth, obviously, and they can be up to 1 kilogram. But they also have like they spend a lot of time with their young, so that could have helped. That the parents are teaching the sort of kittens how to. That's what
Baby
called.
rats called kittens.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
I'm pretty sure it's all kittens.
Rat
Whatever.
kittens.
So they're teaching their young how to like kill and eat parts of a cane toad.
And how did they figure that out?
Probably trial and error.
But then trial and error, is that not...
One
is that
rat
like-
watches the other one.
Oh, okay. So one eventually figures it out and that rat doesn't get ill.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, rats are real good. Like if like rats are really the reason that rats are really good pests is because they're smart and hard to kill. I mean, fancy rats, I will still say they can range in intelligence from dumb as hell to really really smart. Mine, for example, dumb as hell. But but like if you leave a point, like rats can be really really fussy. Like, so when you're raising a rat, you need to give it a lot of food when it's younger. Otherwise, it's harder to get it to try new foods when it's older because they will smell something. They'll take the tiniest little nibble, and because they can't throw up. And if they think it's like this isn't good, they will never eat that. They will basically never eat that thing again. But like also, if they see if a rat dies from something, like if you need. I think you can't have really fast acting rat poison, I think I've read, because if you do, the rats will figure out what it is that is killing the other rats.
Wow.
And they will stop eating that thing.
So clever.
Yeah, like they're really clever. They're great. But yeah, like they're very good at learning in that sense. So it's probably just the fact that it's trial and error.
So
One
it's
rat didn't die and it's
learned
passed
then
that on.
Passed on rather than genetically evolved.
Yeah, so I mean, and again, 2 years is not a lot of time to evolve in that sense. Do you know what I mean, like
It's just fascinating to know that rats do that in terms of learning and teaching,
Well, if
like
you-
figuring something out and learning.
well, if you think about it, that is why they're really good at. That's why you find rats everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Because they can adapt. They're highly adaptable, and this is just a sort of example of their adaptability, their ability to be faced with a new sort of ecological niche that they need to fit into, and just slot into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great.
I'll eat your heart.
Jesus, right? It is like gimme. It is horrific. It's because they've got very dexterous little hands. They've got really sharp teeth, so they can just perform open
Surgery.
heart
They slice
surgery.
it with their teeth. They slice it open.
Yeah, and they just tear it out with their little handies.
Wow.
Right? Yeah,
Brutal.
yeah. They vivisect the
Wow.
the cane toads, which I love.
Horrifying.
So we need to get loads of rats to Australia.
No, Luke.
They're Australian water rats.
They're Australian
They're already
water
there.
rats.
Okay, we need to give them some food.
I feel like you don't
We need to
understand.
clone them.
I feel like you don't understand the moral of this story.
The moral of the story is we need some more Australian water rats.
Okay.
That's the moral I'm taking. So
You know what? I'm not gonna dispute it. You guys do what you want with Australia. I'm gonna stay here.
we need to introduce the rats to each other.
But yeah, so and this is the thing, like the sort of largest toads make up 2.5% of the population of toads in that region, but of the toads that they found, the big toads made up 74% of the dead toads. So the rats were going for the big toads. Like they knew. They were like, I want the big one.
Yeah.
You know? It is incredible. Like I can't believe that these like little like 1 kilogram rats will flip a toad over on its back. Like make an an incision and eat its heart whilst holding it down.
What a way to
like
die.
while it's alive. Like serves the cane toads right to an extent. They're
Does
Hey,
it? They're just
hurry.
doing what they're doing.
they're doing their thing, but they shouldn't be so poisonous. They shouldn't be so toxic, you know?
Stop
You
being,
come up. You get your
stop being who you
comeuppance.
are.
Maybe go to therapy, cane toads, and maybe then you won't be so toxic. And so obviously, the biggest cane toads are the most toxic because they've got the most skin. And yeah, basically the biggest cane toads are more likely to sort of kill larger predators. So the rats killing the biggest cane toads is just really good for the environment in general, in that if you get rid of the biggest ones, then it's only the smaller ones that are there, and predators are more able to deal with that invasive
Because
species.
they're less toxic.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you eat one.
Exactly. And other predators are basically learning avoidance strategies of just avoiding these toads.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no.
I see you.
Because obviously the ones that are, if you think about that sort of in a sort of evolutionary sense rather than a learning sense, because it could be kind of a little thing of both, the animals that are slightly more hesitant, like sort of that have a sort of genetic inbuilt, like let's say hesitancy to them. I know it's a little bit more complex than that, but the ones that are genetically predisposed to be slightly more hesitant are more likely to pass on their genes because they're not dying from eating a
The
toad.
curious ones are biting the dust.
Exactly.
And the toad.
Really interesting though that you're talking about like these big predators that are eating these rats and dying. Sorry, these toads and dying, and then there's these like little rats, these incredibly brave little rats who are doing surgery on them and stealing the heart. And then like large predators are like, oh, stay away.
Yeah, but a rat is like just holding on his back, tearing out his heart, then eating, like peeling its skin, and just eating its legs. Like it is.
Imagine you
horrifying.
were a big predator and you were scared of the toads, and then you saw a little rat flip it over and tear out its heart. You'd be like even more scared of that rat.
Absolutely, but it's great though because it makes sense because the rat is small enough to be able to sort of utilize a weakness of the toad, that being that it's not entirely poisonous. It's just certain parts of it, and big predators don't have the dexterity to do that. These little
true.
water rats can just like murk them basically.
Yeah.
So moving on from rats to snakes. Now these snakes haven't evolved to eat or haven't learned to eat the cane toads. But the thing with snakes is that there's two factors when it comes to a snake surviving an encounter with a cane toad. One is a snake's what limits like what a snake can eat.
Whether it can fit into its jaw.
The size of something.
Yeah, exactly. So the limiting factor for a snake is the size of its jaw in comparison to the thing that it wants to eat. And when it comes to actually eating a cane toad, the snake is obviously more likely to survive if its body mass is larger. If it's got more body mass, then like obviously the toxins are like affecting it slightly less.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think has happened to snakes?
They've got bigger.
Have they got bigger though?
They got bigger jaws? Well, they haven't. The smaller ones have died off, I assume.
No. So this is what's really interesting.
Oh, the small ones that can't fit cane toads in their jaws have survived.
Right. But also, so there's two things going on here. The snakes obviously with large jaws and smaller bodies dying off, right?
Yeah.
Because big jaws mean you can eat big cane toads, and your body can't take it. But the ones with smaller jaws and larger bodies have kind of passed on the genes for smaller jaws and larger bodies have been passed on because a large body protects you a little bit more against cane toad toxin, and a small jaw stops you from being able to eat the larger cane toads.
Yeah.
Right. So what they've done is they looked at 4 different species of snakes. So the 2 of the ones that they looked at. And bear in mind, this is in about 80 years. This is incredibly fast for evolution. So in 2 of the snakes that they looked at, the ones that were in places where the cane toad had invaded, they found that, their jaws had gotten smaller.
Wow.
And their bodies had gotten bigger. But they hadn't noticed that change in other snakes that weren't where cane toads were. So they've basically concluded that, they are evolving to, like, they are evolving basically in this sort of arms race with these cane toads, wherein obviously snakes are getting smaller jaws and bigger bodies, which is really cool.
That's cute.
And the last one, Luke, you mentioned this up top with the cane toads.
Cruella de Vil?
what they eat.
She's in Australia.
Yeah. What do they eat?
In this case,
Cruella de Vil.
each other.
Ah.
Yes. So I did ask that. Are they immune to their own poison?
Evidently. So yeah, it seems.
Yeah.
So it's not the toads necessarily eating other toads. It is God damn it, this is awful. It's the tadpoles eating hatchlings. Yeah. So
Ew.
yeah, it
So
is.
toddlers eating babies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
and
much.
one of the lead researchers on this is someone named Devore.
Love that I mentioned Cruella de Vil up top, and she's come up twice now.
Devore for
Devour. Yeah.
well, devour, but also
Yeah.
you were
Vor.
thinking vor.
Vor.
Yeah.
What? I don't actually. know
Don't
what it
don't
is.
ask. Don't ask. Don't
ask. No. Okay, and I want you to tell us in the comments if when you heard devour, you thought devour or vor.
Or Cruella de Vil.
I will be judging you for which one you chose. Champ, you know exactly why I'm judging.
Vor.
You. Disgusting.
I don't know what this is.
You say vor.
I'm gonna have to Google it.
Don't Google it.
Devore.
Luke, please don't Google it.
Okay.
So the cane toads will, like I've said, will eat almost anything and can eat almost anything. But yeah, the sort of tadpoles are devouring the hatchlings, which is unbelievable. So what has happened here is that because the hatchlings are basically being cannibalized by their elder brethren. And this is something, by the way, that is not as prevalent in other species. This is something that has happened in Australia. So they think there's a genetic component to it. And like on top of this, hatchlings have started to develop faster. So while the faster development kind of stunts their growth as toads, they have more of a chance of surviving because it gives less time for the tadpoles to eat them. Because a tadpole is less likely to eat a small tadpole than it is to eat a hatchling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is entirely messed up. Apparently, the tadpoles can eat up to 99% of hatchlings. They can eat up to 99% of hatchlings in like a single clutch of eggs.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's very
Eating
interesting.
themselves.
Yeah, because they are. I mean, I suppose on the level of the individual organism, they're increasing their own chances for survival because they're decreasing the competition for available food. But on the level of genes, they're destroying their own genes' chances of survival unless they're eating hatchlings from different parents.
no, they're eating. So, I don't think it really matters hugely like what like parents they're eating the hatchlings from. What has happened is like I said is that they've sort of the hatchlings have now started to evolve to be a hatchling for less time, so that the ones basically the tadpoles are now eating hatchlings that take like a longer time to become a tadpole.
Right.
Which is
It's selecting for really fast the really fast development from a tadpole a hatchling to a tadpole.
Yeah, which again stunts the growth of the cane toad. So there'll be smaller cane toads probably, but it's this weird sort of self-selection process because they've just become cannibalistic. It is unbelievable. Apparently, like the researchers were like really shocked by how quickly they had evolved this. Because it obviously they've only been in Australia for about 80 odd years, and this isn't something that you see hugely elsewhere, because cane toads are obviously, like we said, like pretty much everywhere. And apparently it had something to do with the fact that I think they think it's got something to do with like the food sort of supply for the cane toads. I mean, they can't eat anything obviously, but the food supply for the sort of tadpoles, if it's running low because the cane toads are going everywhere, they're just now cannibalizing each other. But researchers want to look more into exactly why this is happening.
That makes sense, because if you already born tadpole are going to struggle to survive, you're all going to be worse off if any more hatchlings are born. So it does make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cannibalism is something that does happen throughout the animal kingdom.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's just, I think the key point about this is that it's incredible that it is incredible like that it's happened so quickly, right? It's just, I mean, in like 87 years, it's just suddenly they've become cannibalistic in this specific way to that degree.
And that wasn't the case before, and it's not the case in other cane toad populations.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't.
Wow.
We know it wasn't the case before because it's not the case in other cane toad populations.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in like under 100 years, not only have they started to become like very cannibalistic, but they've also started to adapt to their own cannibalism.
Yeah, and it's not something you see in other cane toad populations when resources are scarce either.
Well, I I mean, I'm not saying absolutely that the reason that they're doing this is because resources are scarce.
Yeah.
But that's just an idea for a reason that it might be happening. But even so, there is a genetic change associated with that. So do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I just mean it could be latent, like a latent aspect of the cane toad that is not active in other populations.
that's kind of moot, because that's kind of something that would be active almost in any. A lot of organisms will cannibalize. So it's not the cannibalism itself that is necessarily
A mutation.
the interesting thing.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they are then adapting to that by having a shorter time between being a hatchling and becoming a tadpole.
Right.
Yeah, because cannibalism is like ultimately a lot of organisms will cannibalize if they have to.
It's just really funny from the perspective of like the genome. The genome is essentially like, if you were to personify the genome, if the genome exists across multiple cane toads, the genome is basically, if you were to personify it, is going, right, I better evolve to hatch quicker, otherwise I'll eat myself.
Yeah,
That's what it's doing.
it's this like weird self-selection. It's like, do you know how you've got the carrot and the stick?
Yeah.
For like, like you've got a donkey, you can make it walk either holding a carrot in front of it or holding a stick behind it.
Yeah.
You're holding your own carrot and stick here.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just it is feeding into itself. It's so interesting. But that is
Ouroboros. Is that the Ouroboros?
Ouroboros, yeah, snake eating its own tail.
Snaking its tail.
So the cane toads, that is it for them. Hopefully,
Hooray!
no,
They are gone.
no. Hopefully, we'll find some way to deal with their population, or rather, ultimately, I feel like when it comes to these sort of things, with these invasive species, we always think, oh, what can we do to stop them? What can we do to stop them? But I feel like, as Jeff Goldblum once said, life finds a way.
Can we maybe genetically modify the surgical rats with a type of thing where we can quickly destroy them if we need to? So we like create a bunch of genetically modified rats to go and surgically do the cane toads, and then if that gets out of hand, we can press a button and those also die, and then we've sorted it. I mean, I'm not a fan of killing loads of things with the press of a button, but that would fix the frog problem, and also we'd have a solution in case our solution was bad.
Luke, no.
Make me mad.
No, have you not learned from this entire discussion?
Yeah, I have learned. You need a way of cancelling the thing that you have done in case it goes badly.
Cancelling them on Twitter.
Yes.
These cane toads are they're toxic and problematic. Yeah. Okay.
Hashtag cane toads over party.
I'm just saying that's a slightly better solution than just making loads more of the rats.
No, I agree. It is a slightly better solution to. I feel like the issue here is just releasing, trying to fix, or trying to change sort of a sort of food web by releasing a different species into it in greater numbers than it, either like a new species or a species in far greater numbers than it should be there. Because food web is so complex that you throw one thing out of balance and it can have knock-on effects. Like there have been effects on predators that they thought would not be affected by the cane toad. It is so difficult to foresee what would happen when you
the domino effect.
Exactly. Yeah, because you've got to take into account as well, there are probably things that we don't know about how the entire sort of ecosystem works together. That just chucking in a toad that is like its whole shtick is being hard to kill, good at killing predators, and eating literally anything it can fit inside of its mouth. Like that's just that's clearly a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
It's like obviously a dumb idea. You want to at least release something that is easy enough to kill for, like, if you need to.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I think it's time now for the quickfire quiz.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun. You stole my line.
Sorry, you can do the addition bit.
I don't want to.
All right. Cane toad edition.
Wow, fantastic. So the rules of the quickfire quiz are the same as they always are. I'll ask one question with the two of you. The first person to buzz in with the correct answer after finish asking the question wins. What do they win, Jamp?
What do they win, Luke?
They win absolutely nothing.
Oh, you gosh darn right there, Luke.
Thank you.
So, Luke, what is your buzzer? Horrifying. Jamp, what is your buzzer?
Rabbit.
Much
Very
better.
good.
Thank you.
My question to you is, what year were the cane toads released into Australia?
Rabbit.
Oh, well, Jamp, you answered the question after I finished asking it. What is your answer?
Oh, I actually kind of forgot. Is it 1935?
Damn
Ding,
it.
ding, ding. That is correct. Well
I
done.
remember you mentioning 1935. I actually forgot
Really?
what it was in relation to. Thank you.
It was that book that I read, 1935.
Yeah, could have guessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. well, we'll say goodbye. I mean, we'll say also go and buy our merch.
Oh, go buy
If
our merch.
there's
We
some
have
left.
merch. If there's any left.
So, thank you very much for watching. You can find the full references for this episode in the description. Subscribe for new episodes every Sunday, and why not leave us a nice wee comment? You can support the pod over at patreon.com/SCI GUYS, or you can join our community over on Discord, or you can get our merch at normalcitizen.store, or you can find and contact us at SCI GUYS Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and at SCI GUYS on TikTok too. Or why not send us an email at sciguyspod@gmail.com.
That's sciGuysPod@gmail.com.
Sci Guys Pod.
At gmail.com. You can follow me at NotCorey everywhere.
Follow me at Champion everywhere.
You can follow me at Luke Cutforth everywhere.
Goodbye.
Ribbit. Ribbit.